Any straight line graph that is not a vertical line or a horizontal line will have an equation that can be written in the form y equals mx plus c. The m and the c in the equation are just in place of numbers. As these values change, they tell us different things about our straight line graph. The m in our equation is standing for the gradient. The c is standing for the y-intercept. The gradient of our line tells us two things about our line. First of all, it tells us the direction. If the value of m is positive, then we know that the line is going to slope upwards from left to right. If it is a negative, then we know it's going to slope downwards. Also, our gradient tells us how steep our line is. The larger the value, the steeper the line. This means that a line with a gradient of 2 will not be as steep as a line with a gradient of 3. Equally though, a line with a gradient of -5 will be steeper than a line with a gradient of 2. The 5 is bigger than the 2, which tells us that it's going to be steeper. The negative bit just tells us that the line with a gradient of -5 will slope downwards, whereas the line with a gradient of 2 will slope upwards. The y-intercept, the plus c bit, also tells us a useful piece of information. This tells us where the line crosses the y-axis. So if our plus c value was a +2, then we know we're going to cross at 2 on the y-axis. If we had an equation with a -5 in it, we're going to cross at -5 on the y-axis. Let's look at two examples. So, in equation number 1, we can see that we have 3 lots of x in our equation. So this is telling us that we have a gradient of 3. We can then see that following that we've got that -2. So we know we're going to have a y-intercept of -2. So our line will cross a y-axis at -2. The gradient bit, the steepness, is telling us that for every 1 we move across to the right in the x direction, we will move up 3 in the y direction. Hence, the bigger the value, the steeper the line. Our second example, we can see, has a gradient of -2. So, unlike number 1, this one is going to be sloping downwards. It's got a lower value of the gradient, and so it's going to be shallower. Our y-intercept for this one is +7, and therefore it's going to be cutting the y-axis at 7, and therefore is going to be cutting above our x-axis.